Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first Affinity podcast. My name is Alex, and today's guest is a Magic YouTuber, Twitch streamer, and all-round content creator who's been producing videos and games on Magic for the past 7 years. He's managed to amass a substantial following on YouTube with over 13,000 subscribers and 1.8 thousand followers, and a sublist longer than my arm over on Twitch. Matt, or Total as he's sometimes called, has produced deck text for the budget-minded across nearly all formats, including both on and offline play, box and pack cracking vids, and regularly streams EDH gameplay content over on his Twitch that both Martin and I have been lucky enough to be a part of on 2 separate occasions. To say Matt understands and knows Magic is a bit of an understatement, and I'm very happy to be talking to him. Hi, Matt.
Hey, how you doing?
We're doing very well. How are things in your neck of the woods?
Yeah, all good, thanks. Yeah, thanks for inviting me on the very first episode. That's quite an honour.
I'm sure there's no one else I'd rather have on, mainly because of time zones.
Yeah, exactly. We live in the same country, so it makes it easier.
Exactly. We're not part of the American sphere where everyone else is from.
No.
Which actually brings me on to one thing I do want to talk specifically to you about, and something that does bridge the gap between England and America, and that's all the online things. Now, I can hold my hands up and say I have never touched, played Arena, or Alchemy, or anything that's exclusively an online thing. All the Arena codes we get go straight to patrons. So I have no idea what it is, how it works, or anything. So, for me personally, could you just tell me one or a few things that are different from paper Magic to online?
Well, one thing I think Arena Magic does make it very beginner friendly because it will take you through the steps and show you. Some people might see that as bad, that you'd like to learn it, actually in paper, like you say, someone telling you, but it really, for a more seasoned player like myself, it can make me lazy. It's definitely going from that where everything sort of is just done for you. But for new players and beginner players, Arena is really good for that. If you forget about the economy and everything like that, as an actual program to play Magic, and you compare it to what we used to have, which was MTGO, which was very basic. Basically looked like something that still does from like Spectrum or Commodore 64 days.
Most people will know what that is, Matt.
Yeah, hopefully won't. Yeah, because I forget I'm old. So let's go. Oh, Sega, the first Sega, maybe. There you go. Maybe the first Nintendo. It's pretty basic. Let's just put it that way. And with this, because they're trying to keep up with other games, they've made it flashy. Lots of characters and animations and everything like that. But it is built specifically, I think, to start off and bring new players to the game, which I think is having something that's easily accessible. You don't, or if you haven't got a mass group of friends and anything like that, you can literally just sign on, play. From your playing in bed on your iPad or anything like that. Now it's literally an easy way to play Magic. Is the way I look at Arena.
Do you think then there might be a concern that Magic might then, sort of moving down the line in years, move entirely online, where Wizards might just say, you know what, we've already got the art commissioned, it's costing us money to actually print these cards and ship them and distribute them and get them to stores, let's just put it all online, we don't have any of that hassle, people are paying us for what is essentially an invisible product, why don't they just do that?
I think because Magic is a game that's been going on for so many years, there is going to be a large contingent of people that will just want to play paper. Now, obviously, with recent times, things have been a bit harder for everyone to get to the game stores with viruses and everything like that going
Don't mention
around.
the C word.
The dangerous word. But one thing Arena I don't think we'll ever be able to do personally is like play Commander. It just can't do it. Commander is always going to be one of the most popular formats throughout the whole of Magic, and the program just for me just does not. It would never be able to play like a 4-player game. This is why they brought in Brawl. 1v1 is the way to do it now. 1v1 Commander's fun, but it's not it's not really the way that I like to play Commander. I like playing like we do, group of friends. You play it, even when we're not in person, we still play with our cards at a spell table.
Yeah.
But I think Arena, there's reasons why I think certain formats might die out in paper. Like Standard. I really do think, for me personally, as much as I might buy booster boxes and everything like that, maybe to open up on the channel or something like that. There's a lot of people now with the way Standard is, especially talking about Standard with cards getting banned. You put your money into one deck, and Standard is a rotating format. So in paper, it's very, very hard to keep up with. On Arena, you craft your deck, you lose one of your mythics, they give you a mythic card back. Now, if you lose it in paper and you don't play Commander, or it's not good in an older format, that card not only just drops considerably in price, so no one will really want it. It could be a £30 card one week in paper, then all of a sudden it's 50p.
Yeah.
That is the problem when you're going to play Standard. This is why I don't play any Standard Magic at all anymore.
No, it fluctuates a lot.
Yeah, I can't afford to keep up with it. Full-time job, creator, make money, whatever. Lucky to do that, but I still would not put my money into Standard as in paper form.
No, I understand.
Commander,
Like Commander,
definitely.
you can make a deck. It is your deck. It is there
Yeah,
pretty much forever. Like very rarely do cards get banned in Commander, especially to the point that it nullifies your entire deck. Even if your Commander gets banned, odds are there is another Commander that can, not as effectively, but still slot in and fill that role.
And Commander is a kitchen table game. If you want to, although majority of people will go by whatever the rules committee do. If you want to go like we did last week, we went and played game where all four of us played goalless.
Yeah, how
Goalless
did
is
that go,
banned.
by the way?
That was crazy. But it was really fun. But it's your choice. Now, if you're
Yeah.
going to play, Standard, you have to follow. It's a different kind of rule. Now, obviously, if you're playing just with your friends, you can play whatever decks, whatever cards you want. Um, but it's just a different egg. Do you know what I mean? Standard is very. I don't know about you, but when I go to like a few new LGSs, people just don't play Standard anymore.
No, we've found very much Standard is not a thing people play in our neck of the woods. Like, stuff like Modern has taken over a
Yeah.
lot more because it doesn't rotate anywhere near as heavily. It rotates with treads and fads and new sets coming out, but there'll always be a Tron deck, there'll always be a Jund mid-range deck, there'll always be Dredge somewhere at the bottom of the pile somewhere.
Yeah.
But
Generally, you get to keep your decks
Yeah,
in Modern.
exactly.
Generally, and plus, it is a format really for people that. Although I wouldn't want to put any new players off going to it, it really is a format for people that have got their collection, that have already got their fetch lands, they've already got everything that they've been collecting for a few years, and it's a lot easier. If you're playing in a competitive, even an LGS where you're trying to win prizes, or if you're going to maybe GPs will come back soon, or GPs, they're not real. What are they now?
Magic Fests.
I lose track, whatever they are now.
Magic Fest now.
But you can take a deck there. But if you took a budget deck, you probably Modern is hard to get into, I think, as well. Which is Commander. You don't really set up a Modern match and say like we're all going to play precons. Do you know what I mean? You sort of. That's what's good about the Commander. You have a talk, a little talk, just to say levels close to whatever. You play it.
Yeah.
Modern, you turn up with your friendly deck. Maybe that Wizards have made like they do Pioneer decks, but not Modern decks. But
Yeah, but if they
pretty
did,
much will get annihilated.
Yeah.
You will get annihilated by a top tier deck.
Well, just on the same sort of vein as that, talking about the competitiveness, because you make a lot of decks, even if you don't make them physically, you will think about a lot of decks. How would you personally look to a deck and try to make it optimized? Like, I've played against your Ishin deck. It is a well-built deck. But how do you navigate making sure it's well optimized, can play thoroughly, do what it wants to do, but then sort of stop from that, not going into it being too competitive? Like, are the rules you follow, are the specific cards that you say, I'm just not going to put this in out of principle?
I mean, generally, I will, for me, in Commander, a lot about what makes stuff competitive, basically, sometimes is even as a small thing such as the lands. You know, if you're filling with jewels and fetches and everything like that, you're going to be a lot more. It's the same as when I deck build in standard. If I do my budget decks, and I always say, you know, there's no rare lands. I do budget decks in standard with maximum of 5 rares, so you're not ever really going to be able to put any rare lands in to make the deck more consistent. And the same in Commander. If I want a deck that's, you know, not going to be screaming out the blocks where I can automatically get a turn 2, turn 3 really good play, you know, I put some tap lands in, which are obviously not very fashionable, but it depends what type of deck you're going for. There will be certain decks that I will leave out certain high power cards. Like if it's a blue deck, I might not always have my Ristic Study in the blue deck.
Yeah.
I might not, not always have even something like Path to Exile, even though it's a little bit cheaper these days. I might just change it for, try a new card. Maybe like, I can't remember the new one from Standard. It's a 2-mana Fateful Absence. I might just try and swap the cards around just to lower the power.
Yeah. Well, also something I said to a friend of mine, he had an old Simic, I forget the commander, but he was saying to me, look, I'm playing this in my LGS and people don't want to play it anymore. How do I lower the power curve without just making the deck flatly worse? And two things I said to him were the exact same things you said. Put in more tap lands and increase your mana curve so you aren't doing everything on turn 2 and you do have to occasionally play something on turn 4 and not have mana up.
Exactly, yeah. If it is, it's quite easy when you look at like CEDH decks. There's Moxes, there's all these 0-mana spells.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm building a deck, because I'm a blue mage, so my favourite deck is Tachyova, and in that deck I've got Force of Will, I've got Fierce Guardianship, I've got all the 0 spells. That's my counter package. It means doesn't matter if I've got no land open, I can still stop an opponent. And my other Tachyova deck will have cards like maybe Disallow. It'll have different 4-mana counter spells. It will have something, maybe I can't remember the 5-mana one that makes treasures and stuff like that.
Oh, Spell Swindle.
Spell Swindle, which is a good card, strong card.
I love Spell Swindle.
But it's not like tapping out of trying to get your opponent to come in and play something when they think they're safe, and then you just go Force Will or something like that.
Yeah.
So you just dole. I look for power cards and then gradually dole down my cards to make the deck more friendly and obviously less powerful. So technically do the same sort of thing, but it's going to cost me a lot more mana.
So is there any sort of decks, any commanders that you look at and think, no, that deck, no matter what you do with it, that deck, provided it plays the normal cards that you would expect that commander to play with, is there any deck where you look at and go, whatever that is, that's going to be a 7, no matter what you do with it?
Yeah, so Brand Arbiter, definitely. Muldrover, even.
Muldrover,
it's very hard to play friendly with. It's just hard. It's just there's so much, recurrence.
Yeah, you just can't really get over it.
No, it's really hard, and I mean, some of my decks are like Eureka, which is obviously very high powered. I still think it's beatable. Do you know what I mean? There's Kenrith. Kenrith can be very awkward because it gives you all the colours, and it's just seems to always have an answer.
Yep.
There's definitely a few decks. I think Ishin might become a problem, personally, just from playing it and just thinking, it's just disgusting. Yeah. So, you can get out so fast, and
Ishin falls into one of the categories of decks that I like to say, like, what if I turn it into a tree? Which I need to find a smaller category name for. Which, if I turn your commander into a tree, what happens to the rest of the deck?
Yeah.
It's like,
I definitely think one of the worst, though, for me is definitely Atraxa.
Everyone always says Atraxa.
It has to be Atraxa. There's just no friendly way of building Atraxa.
Atraxa can be built in several different ways. All of them are equally mean, just based upon the fact that she gives access to every colour that cares about counters. Red doesn't really care about counters. She is bloated with keywords. Her stats are on par for a vanilla test, and then she just proliferates. Like, anything on that could have been tweaked of proliferate a type of counter, proliferate one counter, but just
it's crazy.
She is crazily powerful. She is just.
I I used to think Chew Lane was a problem, but I've managed, it's a good value engine, so I've managed to sort of get around that a lot more than, say something even like a Loro. A Loro is very hard, stays in the command zone.
Yeah.
Just anything that stays in the command zone is usually going to be a problem for you, like Egg Kabarkov, and if you can't interact with it and it just keeps doing stuff.
Anything with eminence.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I don't mind playing against these decks either. It's not a problem for me. I've not really played against Urza, and I've always heard Urza is a problem, but I think that's more of a CDH deck.
I have played with Urza, and Urza, there is no real way, provided you just play artifacts. Like if you just play blue artifacts and you play one or two counter spells here and there, because of the way Urza is worded, he can essentially be free.
Yeah.
And then just be able to even just abuse his ability to create a token that comes in with him that will be huge, which gives blue a creature advantage, which is weird. And he gives you card advantage, and the fact that he synergizes so easily with just a already good artifact blue deck that does exist at the top end of Commander and into CDH. But
it makes it a problem, doesn't it?
I still say to this day, Urza is what got Paradox Engine banned. If they hadn't printed Urza, right, Paradox Engine wouldn't have been banned. Urza being printed just made everyone realize, oh wait, Paradox Engine's actually broken.
Yeah, I started building that because I pulled an Urza and I started building it. Paradox Engine obviously was straight in there.
Yeah.
And then it was banned. And I just never carried on building the deck. I probably should. It's strange, even like as me, who's a real lover of blue. I don't have an actual mono blue deck. Every time I look at them, I start building it, and I just think there's very few ways to build mono blue friendly. It's just there's very few. You can maybe go down a creature form and have a bit of fun, but
Martin's got Unesh, which is Sphinxes, but even that's annoying sometimes.
Yeah, because the Sphinxes can be really, when I did my Tachova second deck, I made it. I wasn't allowed any mana dorks. It had to be sea creatures only, even as that was the rule, and try and doing it. And then realised, like, I played one game, played alright. Played the next game. When those like big blue sea creatures come out, it was so oppressive to everyone. It's just like, I'm like, this is supposed to be the friendly version. It's like it still wasn't doing it.
No,
like, wow,
definitely having some. So with regards to with mono blue and stuff like that, do you think? Because there's a massive meme, which you'll know, but do you think there is a genuine hierarchy of colours and even colour combinations? Like, if you took everything being equal, if everyone had equal boards, hands, life totals relative to their deck's power level, if one deck was certain colours and others weren't, is there any colour combination where you think that's worse, that's better? Or even monocolours?
In monocolours, it's really, see, I don't see mono. Take an Urza out of it and the combos that you can do. I always see mono blue as you're at a disadvantage, and people might think that's crazy, but I really do. You don't generally have removal. All you have is counter spells. The counter spells will run out. I tried. It's hard building say you go to standard. Competitive mono blue just never works these days. The last time it worked was back when, what was it, Theros, when you had Master of Waves and you had cards like that. It was the only time.
Yeah, and then it
really
was
worked for me.
Then it was creatures.
Every time now, mono black will work. Mono green will certainly work. Mono red Krenko will certainly work. White is possibly at the disadvantage. I play Lyra and I can get wins with Lyra quite often, but I can't keep up with the card draw, the ramp, or anything like that. It really is a problem. But
so
you're looking at colour pairings that a lot of people just really take umbrage to Simic big time.
Yeah. Because then you have the creatures that blue lacks, and you have the control that green lacks.
That to me, Simic, moved into like a Simic mate because it just works so well together. It everything you need. It has the ramp. It has then the recursion with green. You know, your witnesses, your stuff like that. You bring back all your counter spells, and which is why I play Tatch Over. I just love card draw, and I love just playing my lands. I love land decks. I just love it. And that blue to me doesn't win generally without pairing with green personally, or another color potentially.
So if we say that if blue is a disadvantage, would you say in mono white? Would you say mono white's worse than mono blue?
Personally, just from the decks I play, I still would favour if I just took a blue legendary and I would always go for the Lyra mono white, always, just because it has exile. I have ways to deal with it. I have mass removal. I have rafts. I have lifelink. I have everything that's hard, save for blue to deal with. Yeah, you counter this creature, but I've got another 29 that's going to come down and still do damage to you. You might be able to bounce it back to my hand. All you're doing is slowing me down, basically. So I would definitely have. It sounds weird. A lot of people might disagree, but I would definitely have mono blue lower. Yeah.
Oh,
definitely.
that is controversial.
I know.
See, the only
I'm totally biased towards my own colour. I'm not biased.
The only mono white deck that either of us have is Heliod the Sun Crowned. That's because I built it, and because it is the meanest deck that I can make in mono white, and even then, it's probably a 6-7 power level, like a general normal power level. Because mono white, I just say, it lacks card draw. It has fantastic removal and board wipes, has protections and indestructible, but it's that tiny lack of card draw, lack of ramp that just prevents it from really getting. Which is probably the reason for it. Like if every color could do everything, there'd be no point in the colors.
Oh, exactly, no. And I think that's what problem that some people are having is that other colors seem to be getting a little bit of help. Green certainly, like green is practically blue.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of difference now. They can draw cantrip just as well as blue. They have bigger creatures. They can just basically do anything green. When you look at white, you think you look at some top commanders like SRAM, Heliod, Ketra, Lyra's up there. They only do so much. They won't pull you. They can pull you back into the game with life gain. They can get your life back, but they won't pull you back into a game where you need to draw that answer. You need to constantly do that. There's not enough cards like what's the one that everyone hates? The 4-mana enchantment that makes treasures.
Smothering Tithe.
There's not enough cards like Smothering Tithe,
No, but that's the point of Smothering Tithe, isn't it? Like Smothering Tithe got printed, jumped up immediately because everyone went, "Oh my god, it's the best thing in white for ramp." Like there's not even like in Ristic's case, there are similar cards that you can argue about and don't have the feel bads of it, but there's literally nothing else in mono white that does anywhere near what Smothering Tithe does.
No. I mean, we got given, what was it, Archaeomancer's map recently. There was a nice card in white that helps out a touch, but like you say, land tax, maybe.
Yeah, but even then, that's probably the best white ramp you get. It's don't miss your land drops.
Yeah. And not everyone will have 35, 28, £30 to go and get it.
Exactly.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Whereas blue or green will give you other options as well. There's not like a cheaper option in white for like budget players or anything like that to say, oh, I can just get this. It might cost 2 or 3 mana more.
No.
White just doesn't have that. It has like, that's your card. And
that's what you get. Can we have some white card draw? We have white card draw at home. It's Soul Clamp.
Okay.
But that does actually lay on to something else that, especially with your budget focus, I did want to ask you about. So I'm just going to say a statement, and I want to see what your reaction to it is.
Yeah.
How much do you think that Magic the Gathering is a pay-to-win format?
In standard as a format?
In the game itself. So take EDH.
The game itself. So if you take EDH, if you're not talking top CEDH, where CEDH probably do. If you're talking just normal casual commander, I would say it's not pay to win. I
Right.
would say just because, like I mean, probably like you, I've taken $150 deck. I took a Toski deck, mono green Toski.
Right.
$150 maximum for the whole 100 cards, which might seem a lot to some, but in commander terms, that's very, very budget. That's
There's a
like just
land
over a
worth
dollar
less
and
than
a half.
that.
Yeah, exactly. And I wiped the floor a couple of times with really strong decks
Nice.
because commander you can have synergy.
Hmm.
Once you've got that synergy, and everything just like like Krenko decks and everything like that, you get those mono red. You just make all those tokens. Some decks do need a bit of time to get going, and I think having cards like Smothering Tide, Ristic Studies, Land Taxes, all the expensive cards, and the lands will make your decks consistent. But I don't think it's. I definitely don't think I see a lot of people's obscure decks just annihilate my deck that I think is really strong. And you think, wow, how did you do that? And it's like budget cards. So I think there's a bit more scope for budget in Commander. I think, which is what is great about it.
Yeah,
All those cards to choose from.
yeah, you can actually get something that might actually work. Like, I agree with you to an extent. Like, I do still think that if I say to someone, here's $100 and someone else here's $300, go both make a deck on the same commander, I still think the one with $300 will win 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
Just
See, Commander is random as well. See, you
yeah,
got to
there's
think it's
a lot.
100 cards, and that what chucks in and gives sometimes like standard it doesn't or modern doesn't give you that chance. You draw your 7, it's 50 cards left. Do you know what I mean? There's 4 of it. It's a different kind of kettle of fish. I think with Commander you do get that. You do get that chance because one card in every of type will give you a slight edge. It gives you a help, I'd say. But I know what you're saying. If you've got a $500 deck against the $100 budget, the $100 budget may be working more on the synergy aspect because that's what it needs to do. Try and general power cards.
Yeah, and then
can take over.
Just to play devil's advocate, because I agree with you, but I just want to press you a little bit on it. So if that other $300, and you're saying it's a singleton format, true, but then that $300 buys you those little demonic shooters, the enlightened shooters, the things that make it not 100 cards.
Yeah, so you got ways to obviously find it round. Like we say, fetch lands. You're thinning your deck, even though it's a micro percentage, it's still doing it.
Helps a bit.
You're getting to play maybe the spell the turn earlier than the budget player who's gone in with their Temple Mystery just come in tapped, which is nice, and it scries and stuff like that, but it's still coming in tapped, whereas you're playing your fetch land, going to get your breeding pool, and you can then turn one, play your brainstorm, the same turn.
Yeah.
You're going to get that advantage. So I think it's, like you say, I think it's probably, I don't know, I'd say I'd go 7 times out of 10. Dearer deck will win. I'd still give that a chance. I'll always believe that slightly budget deck will always, have more of a chance than in other formats.
Yeah,
specifically in Commander.
Yeah, with Commander there is a lot more of you can pull something back, but in stuff like Standard and Modern where there is play sets of cards, it is very much a case of if you lose, you're more likely to keep losing. Whereas in Commander,
the big thing about politics, which helps budget players. There's not just I play my deck, I play my cards. If you're a good player as well, if that good player that budget deck, and he politically works his way around the table.
Oh yeah,
there's ways that you can do it. You know what I mean? It's like standard 1-on-1. You don't really talk to anyone. You don't have that kind of rapport.
I am still 100% confident that if I sat down with my best deck, you sat down with your best deck, and got, I don't know, Andrew Mudster sat down with his best deck, Melissa Del Toro would still slap us around with a precon. That would still happen.
Yeah, definitely.
But speaking of Mr. Del Toro and design of Commander, slight little sachet, what would you like to see? Because we have had just the year of Commander a few years ago with the big green explosion of it all.
Yeah.
If you could be in the room and you could ask for something, What do you want to see more of in Commander? More things with Eminence? It's your favorite keyword, I know. Or
Yeah.
more things with Partner? Less things with Partner? What would you like?
Partner, I must admit, I've got one partner deck in my 34 commander decks. Um, I've only got one partner deck. Um, and I don't generally play it too often. I've got Rogard, the 0 mana and the
Oh, yeah.
Arden, and it works really well. And it's actually really consistent. It's actually quite fast. I think it's actually quite a strong deck. But partner's definitely not. I don't know. I'm not really a fan from it, to be honest. I don't mind it. I don't dislike. It doesn't bother me. I'll put it that way. Do you know what I mean? Um, if I could say anything in Commander, I would probably, if I was sitting in a room and say, if they say, what would you like? I would just say, please, you print some of the cards. That's what we need. Not just, we need some of these cards like land tax and more. We needed stuff to make Commander more accessible to help bring the power level up for everyone. I mean, to me, the precons are amazing. They're the best product that Magic makes, without a doubt. The Commander decks,
Absolutely.
there's nothing better, and they seem to be edging away from like when they did with the Atraxas and those sort of decks which have were a lot more powerful. They seem to be dulling it down a bit. That's just my, occasionally you'll get a deck like, which one was it? The Elafiel deck that was really strong.
Yeah. That's just elves.
Yeah, I mean, that was just stupid fast compared to the other deck, which was, just nowhere near in its class. But yeah, I wouldn't say there's any sort of archetypes that I would like to see back or anything like that. I would just like to see it more readily available for everyone. Do you know what I mean? Like you said, someone comes down with them on a white, they've got Smothering Tithe, they've got Path, Swords, Antac, they've got all that. They're generally going to beat the person that turns up with a mono white precon because it won't have anything like that in that deck. I mean, it's very rare that we got Archimence's mapping one. That was right. Wow.
Yeah, and look at the price of that now. Not Smothering Tithe price, but still up
still
there.
a fair price. And,
exactly. It's still very much worth it to buy that precon because 3 cards in it are worth the price of the precon just simply because of the fact that they're the best mono white can offer.
I mean, Teferi's Protection, that needs to come out again. It's a stupid price. It's like, was it like, I don't know, 30 quid? $40? Something like that?
But again, it's the best spell that does what it does. The closest you can get's Eerie Interlude, and that just blinks your entire board, but it doesn't stop your enchantments or your artifacts, and your life total can change. Like, you're still there. You can still be slapped around after the Cyclonic Rift.
Doesn't generally stop you from dying.
Exactly.
Which that can do. Yeah, that's the, that's what I like. That's what I'd like to see. Yeah, I mean, they're going through different routes with stuff. I mean, they've done a lot of tribal stuff recently that seems okay. There's definitely some tribes that needs more support, I'd say.
More dogs.
Yeah, they sort of start with an idea but then it doesn't really get any backup.
Yeah, which I do think is a very big thing that's a bit of a problem at the moment. Like, the mutate mechanic. The mutate mechanic, I loved that. I had a mutate deck, and I played it quite a few times, and it was fun. But then you're left with the case of knowing that this deck will probably never be tuned up because it's such a unique mechanic.
Give you a flash of something. Like, when they brought back ninjutsu cards.
Yeah.
That was brilliant. I love that. It means, for me, it's like, even though I've been playing for 7 or 8 years, my Eureka deck, I couldn't get hold of half the old-fashioned Ninjutsu cards. Now you give me an option.
Yeah.
Brought it into Standard, which means then I can infiltrate it into, it gets me thinking, I might buy a few Standard cards now because I can put it into my Commander decks as well. So something like that I think is good, but like you say, they need to do more of it. They've missed out some really good opportunities, like you say, with the mutate and everything like that was different. They just need to maybe do more of that, sort of bringing it in and just. I mean, mutate was fun, wasn't it? It was fun.
I love mutate,
and it was hard to beat sometimes. That's it. If you got the right mutation creatures on, Jesus.
But exactly that's the thing of it, of having certain things that should not be made evergreen, but mechanics that can be drip fed into it, or tribes that can be drip fed into every little set. Like my humans deck that we played on stream, I am very confident that in the next set there will be a human in it, because there are
Yeah,
always humans in it.
yeah.
Is there going to be, a zombie? Probably.
Yeah.
But God help me if there's going to be, a dog or a cat that's playable in Rin and Siri.
Yeah, exactly. And I'd love some new angels, please.
Yeah, there'll always be angels, there'll always be humans, there'll always be zombies. There might be a
Yeah.
merfolk, but there are certain tribes that do get left very much by the wayside, along with mechanics as well, which does lead to the point of, okay, certain decks, certain commanders, certain legendary commanders, what's the actual point in building them if it's only going to be available to make cards from one set? Especially now that one set is just that, one set. Like, you got Ikoria, okay? What happened to when we had, Theros, Journey into Nyx, and then the other one that no one can ever remember?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I
But
mean,
that,
when you think about it, it's like you look at a lot of the old popular. We're talking about mono white, a lot mono white commanders. They all have Bushido.
yeah,
You don't see anything like that anymore. You don't see it now. Bushido, it might not be the best in the world, but it's
it's
still
something.
something to say. Right, if you got your old, I'm trying to think, Bushido card or something, maybe like. Just found one. Takeno Samurai General. 3/3. Each other samurai gets +1/1 for each point of Bushido. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Something like that. Build some more samurais. Get Bushido. Just give people some chance to maybe play something a little bit different from the past,
yeah.
or
Oh,
like
yeah,
you say, just don't forget stuff.
yes,
Disturb.
don't just
Disturb
leave
was
it off
good.
to the side. Like, Mutate was someone's baby. Like, someone at Wizards thought of that
Yeah.
mechanic, and they put it all through the set, and now it's just done. Like, I think with the rate we're going back to all planes, give it 2 years and we'll go back to Ikoria. But
Yeah.
by that time, I don't know. I'm not asking for mutate to be in every set. It can't be an evergreen keyword. But there has to be a nice middle ground. Like maybe for some of the themed decks they keep coming out with to help new players. Maybe, here's some mutate cards for this one. We'll make make one of the precons set in Ikoria or whatever. Something like that.
Yeah.
That would be good.
Would like to see as well more, some more creatures printed with like, they because I love planeswalkers. So like creature planeswalkers like Kenrith, Fright Shaman, probably the best one mana planeswalker there is. Stuff like that. I do like stuff like that because then it sort of opens up. It doesn't have to be all 5 colors like Kenrith or anything like that. Maybe if it had 2 or 3, or maybe 3 or 4.
Yeah.
To me, that would open up a lot of. Maybe people, maybe they don't do it. Maybe because people would go down the same routes of 5 color whatever. But I would like to see that, like with all the different options, and maybe expand on what the colors can do. Like Kenrith had all. Well, I think what the red was, they gained haste, but they gained trample with red as well, which I know can be a thing, but you generally
No.
think that with
Generally
green.
green, yeah.
Yeah. The blue was card draw, the white was life gain. So I like that sort of thing. So maybe they could expand on what the colors can do, but only put it on certain types of creatures, so you have to mix other colors with it and stuff. Maybe people just think they'd be too good. Kenrith is obviously really good, but
Well, as we all saw, 5 colour commanders are far too good with Golos.
well, yeah, Golos, Sisay, Weatherlight Captain. There's a lot of good stuff, but that's what I'm saying. I'd like to see him with not the 5,
Yeah.
maybe with 3 different colors.
Yeah.
Going back to the times like when we had Tasiga and stuff like that, where you'd delve and
Yes, that was lovely. I love Tasiga. He was a very well designed card, synergized very well with himself.
yeah, really like that. Delve is I like Delve. I do like Delve as well. I must admit, I do like putting these big mana creatures in there and like Tasiga, and you could play it for 1 mana and stuff like that. It's quite fun.
So, the probably potentially last thing that I do want to say, it's one thing I'm asked to everyone.
Yeah.
If there was one card that you could unban, what would it be?
An That is a hard one. Unless, don't know. Commander-wise, I'm trying to think of the commander ban list because nothing's sort of springing to mind at the moment. A lot of people will talk about. We played Golas the other day.
Yeah, I was expecting you to say Golos straight away.
I was thinking about Golas just because although you can build it a way, like we say, you can build a deck a certain way to be strong and powerful. We had four, the deal was Golas, but 4 different ways to build it.
Yeah.
We had Maze End's deck. I went Eldrazi. Someone went Creature Lands, just Creature Lands.
Mm-hmm.
And it did prove that you could play Golas, and if you didn't fully optimize, it was okay. It really did. The game lasted quite a while, and you think maybe Eldrazi would win because it's so strong. But the Maze's End deck won.
Nah.
Sorry, they got all their gates. So the funnest deck, and we weren't playing just to let we played to win. Actually won the game. It was quite interesting to see. It was a good experiment. Do you know what I mean? It was a good experiment to see if you could play that. Other cards, what would I like to see? Paradox Engine was probably too good. I would probably like to see, because I never got to play with it, Hull Breacher.
Hull Breacher.
I would like to play Hull Breacher.
Everyone, you could mine the salt from Twitter when that was banned.
Yeah. I mean, I never... it's a blue card. I love it. Flash. It's a real strong card for Merfolk as a tribal card.
Yep. I will happily say 100% that I do not believe the Hull Breacher should have banned. Opposition Agent, that's the one from that set, because they were very much 2 cards of the same ilk. They were both oppressive, and they both essentially did bad things to your opponents.
Yeah.
Opposition Agent, having played against it several times, is infinitely more feels bad and infinitely more value than someone else. Just saying, no, you're not drawing cards, I'm going to have some treasure. It's like, that's annoying. But being able to say, I'm going to control you whilst you tutor, so I'm going to get what you tutor for, I'm going to play what I tutor for from your deck, I'm also going to look through your hand and your deck at the same time, that's a lot for, 3 mana?
Yeah. I mean, you talk about, see some cards and you think, well, how does that last and how does this not? Now, for me, I know they always say dying to removal is not an answer, but it does.
It does.
It's a 3/2 for 3, and it has a very strong effect. If opponent would draw a card, except the first one, draw each draw state, instead we create a treasure. So you get to create that treasure.
Yeah.
But from my experience of playing, I don't know how many games of Commander, whenever I've had a strong creature, say like an Avenger's Zendikar, or say, maybe...
Yeah, it doesn't last.
It doesn't last.
Doesn't last for your turn. No way.
It generally doesn't last. And for me, that was one I thought, see, I can understand potentially cards like Iona that's banned.
Yeah.
If you're playing against a mono deck, it completely shuts them out of the game. They can't do anything.
Which is understandable.
That's what I mean. But when you look at something like Hull Breacher, I'm like, really? You're really bad in that? You know what I mean? I mean, it just... That one did baffle me. And I pulled a lovely foil. Never got to play it. And it just dropped in price because of it. And I'm like, I'm keeping it because in case I think it's got a potential to unban at some point. So I'm never going to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Never going to get rid of it.
But perhaps it might be that case of you get to a point where that particular set is now so out of print, no one's going to pull anymore. So I think that might have been the one thing that influenced the fact that everyone who was playing blue just ran it for because we could, because it was still in a print run of a set, it was still relatively cheap, and it did cause that oppressive atmosphere, whereas Notion Thief was already a bit pricey when it initially came out.
Yeah.
And that I think was one of the problems that they said it goes, but its ubiquity, its widespreadness was one of the reasons why it got banned as well. The fact that just everyone played it, which I can see that. There's literally, I was thinking of making a 5-color deck with, I can't remember, that was some theme that I thought was funny, but there was literally just no reason just not to play Golos. He was just the objectively best 5-color commander.
Yeah, definitely. Anything that can get you a land, and it's any land.
It's any land. That was the thing, it's any land.
Yeah, you go and get your Field of the Dead. That's it, basically.
5-color deck. I'll get this land that taps for nothing.
Yeah. And when we played that Golos game, like 3 of us that got Golos out all got Field of the Dead first.
Oh.
It's just so funny. But you go, I'll get Field of Dead. Yeah, so when I got my Field of Dead, then I'll get to cast it again. Then I got my, the Cataracts, the one that taps for the 5 colours. Indestructible. So it's like, I'll just get that now.
But that thing, he was so well designed, the fact that Golos is just colourless, so it doesn't matter you've drawn colours, because when he comes in, you're going to go get the colour you're missing.
Yeah. I think, I'm always a bit like, sometimes I think, everyone's playing the card. Everyone's got a Hull Breacher. And I'm like, it's still one card in 99. And who is this everyone that's playing it? Because it was around. I played so many games and I never came up against it once.
No.
And it's like, who's doing this then? And sometimes I think it's just the rabble rousers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? On Twitter, they start rabble rousing. They're like, right, let's get this card banned. Everyone get on the train. Come on. And it's like, do these other people, do they listen to it? They say they don't, but I'm sure they do.
Well, it's one of those things, you can't help not be influenced by it.
Like,
even if you say, like, oh, I'm going to go watch this film, no matter what anyone says, people will talk about it and you'll still have your opinion coloured by it. Whether that be that film was a lot better than I expected or everyone was right to trash that film. Because we're human, we listen to people.
Juries in cases in court will read the papers and they might have an idea of what's going on. It's just people do it. They know what's going to, it's just, once someone reads something or sees something, they tend, a lot of people just believe it. It doesn't matter if it's not true. They would just see it and, everyone played Hull Breacher, so it's got to go. So is that going to be your one card, Mate? Unban Hull Breacher? I would definitely love to unban Hull Breacher. Other cards, like I say, Golos, maybe not. I mean, I can understand that a lot of people do that, but the way I looked at it was that it was the #1 commander on EDH Rec for over 2.5 years.
Yep.
It was never a problem. Or it was a problem, they ignored it for 2+ years.
Yeah. Or maybe
which way do you look at it? Do you know what I mean? It's like,
maybe it wasn't a problem until it was the top commander for that long. Maybe that's the cut-off point. If anything's commander for 2 years, it's banned instantly.
If I could give to my Simic friends out there, Prophet of Crewfix. Let's get that on banned. The 2/3. I mean, everyone plays the green card now, Seaborn Muse.
Yes, but Seaborn Muse is only half of that card.
Yeah, but 5, mate. It's only a little 2/3 human wizard. It's
but
fine.
Prophet of Crewfix is 2 of the most played cards in EDH of Vidalcan Ori and Seaborn Muse together in one card. I was around when I first started playing EDH. I put Prophet of Crewfix in, strange enough, a Crewfix deck, because this is when I started playing. I just wanted to play the gods. And strangely enough, I kept winning whenever I played that card because I had all my open mana constantly and could play things whenever I wanted.
Flash. Yeah. No, for me, that is just a pet card that I'd like, but I know it would never get unbanned.
No, that will never get unbanned. That was
the true one.
Yeah, that's the true one. That's genuinely TotalMTG's one card to unban Seaborn Muse.
For nothing else, just so I can quickly sell that foil, then it can be banned again. I'm joking. No, I'd never sell it.
That's always the way. You pull something good in foil or alternate art, it's going to get banned within the next 2 days.
Oh, yeah. We're talking about when first ever legacy deck that I built. I thought, right, the shop I was living near played Legacy. So I thought, all right, I build a janky Legacy deck, and a kind of deck is a deck called Nick Fit. Do you know Nick
Yeah,
Fit?
I know Nick Fit.
Yeah, so I played that, and then I was 3 cards away from finishing it, and then they went and banned Sensei's Divine in top.
Yep.
And I was like, never playing Legacy again. Just proves that I shouldn't have built the decks. Like, I gave it the kiss of death.
Oh dear.
And I think, I don't know, was Caracas in that as well? Did that then get banned as well? Or no, that's banned in Commander.
Yeah, it's banned in Commander, yeah. For
It's
obvious
okay,
reasons.
Yeah. Yeah. That was me done. So that's another reason why I don't play Standard in paper. I'm not being bitten again. I'm not doing it.
Oh, listen, Matt, it's been absolutely lovely to talk to you. Thank you so much for coming on our first ever podcast.
I appreciate it being on. So yeah, had a great time chatting about Magic. Love it.
It's always the best thing.
Yeah.
And to everyone else, if you would like to see more content like this, feel free to subscribe to the channel, like this video for more just like it, and if there's any comments or anything you want to post to either myself or Matt, feel free to do so in the comments below, and I'm sure we can relay them to him. Otherwise, I've been Alex, and we'll see you next time.